Hey everyone. Hello. How are we all? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. So in Australia, it's already New Year. It's 1:03 p.m. on New Year's. So like New Year's was so yesterday for us. And it's kind of weird because some of you are still in 2019 and I'm sitting here in 2020. So Morgan, I'm in a different year from you. That's really bizarre. That's kind of crazy to think about. Hey Morgan, hey Faithful One, hey Lady Pegasus. I hope everyone is doing well today or tonight. The last 24 hours has been pretty intense for me. So I thought that I would mention what has happened since my last stream. I streamed this time yesterday, and let everyone know, hey Stacey Marie, Happy New Year. Let everyone know that there was a fire near me. Hey Julia, how are you? And it was a watch and act fire, which is an elevated level. It was, you know, you have to hey Bella Blue, you have to be careful with watch and act fires. So I was stressed about that and about Bella because she was panting a lot and I was really concerned. The fire got worse, a lot worse. We ended up with an emergency warning for my area. I got some stuff ready in case we had to evacuate. The fire got so bad it crossed containment lines, and my sister was evacuated from her place, helped a friend's mum evacuate, and then was hosing down people's houses because the fire was literally on top of them. Well, not literally, but almost on top of them. It was a really, really scary night. I'm going to be honest with you. A really scary 24 hours. I'm exhausted. And so that was all going on, and I'm checking for updates and looking at photos. And then I'm, worried about Bella because she was acting a bit funny yesterday. I was really worried. To be honest, I thought maybe this is like close to the end with Bella. My dog Bella has terminal cancer, in case anyone doesn't know. I ended up going to sleep. I woke up early this morning and checked, and the fire is now just under advice. It's safe. No one's in danger. It's completely under control. No homes were lost, only like sheds and things like that. When I tell you how miraculous that is, the fire was on the boundary line of a suburb that was just houses and new houses. It could have been so bad, so much worse than it was. So it's very, very, a very good outcome. It's still horrible. And the fact is that fire was lit deliberately by two teenagers. So that's just disgusting. And then Bella is a lot better today. She hasn't really been panting. I think I've seen her pant twice maybe. It's a lot cooler today. And she just seems more perkier. So I'm going to say that yesterday was just a bad day. I'm sure that we'll have bad days during this unfortunate journey. But she's fine. So yeah. Hey Sophia, how are you doing? So it's been a very stressful 24 hours, but everything is okay. It's been a lot. Let me tell you, it has been a lot. So I didn't actually celebrate New Year's at all. I didn't get to do the stream I wanted to yesterday. I didn't celebrate. I didn't do a countdown, nothing like that. So I'm excited to sort of get a little mini do-over with you guys. I figured we'll just chit chat for a little bit about true crime from 2019, and then we'll go from there. But it's just going to be a really laid back, chilled stream where we just chat about cases from this year or true crime events that have happened. Hey Bunny Bubs, hey Pookie T. Thank you. Yeah, it's been really bad. Let me show you a photo from last night. I've just got to find it. I think I put it on my Facebook. Yeah, I did. I'll pop up a photo from last night. What happened, the part that was scary was that at about, I think 5 or 6, the wind changed to a southerly, and the fire changed directions and came straight for a suburb, and there were falling embers, and that's what the danger was. And I think this photo shows you. It's a chilling photo, but it shows you how crazy it was last night. Yeah, our country is on fire. But so yeah, that photo should come up in a second and you can have a little look, but then we'll move on to some true crime for today. I'm working on something for tomorrow as well. A very important stream for tomorrow. And then the day after that, it's Friday for me, Thursday for you guys. I will be off. I have doctors. But isn't that photo crazy? So that they're all the falling embers you can see. And so when you've got all these falling embers and high winds, it was just so dangerous. Julia, I feel a little bit better today. My chest was really, it's interesting. I think you said that yesterday and I didn't realize until you said it that I actually was struggling with my breath, and with sinus issues because of the smoke. Sophia, that is close to my home. Not super, super close, but close enough. My sister was there last night. It was just, I can't explain it. And last night, actually, it's so hard to talk about everything, but we had an RAAF Hercules, so one of those huge planes that dump water. I think that's what they're for. I watched them pick up water from the lake, which is across the road from me, literally. Actually, you can use the word literally in that sentence. I watched them pick it up and dive around and drop it on the fire. And it was amazing. It was incredible. It was so loud and they were so close to the houses. It was amazing. They saved hundreds of homes yesterday, and a lot of these are volunteer firefighters. It's just amazing what people will do. There were posts of, I had so many friends that I haven't spoken to in a while call me or message me and say, do I need to come and get you out of there? People, it's just, so this is all really hard and tragic and we are losing lives, sadly, but the spirit of people, everyone came together to help each other, and it's just, I was so emotional about it last night and I'm feeling a bit teary now because it's just been a very full-on 24 hours. Very, very full-on. And then with Bella, hadn't told anyone, but I thought yesterday was the beginning of the end with her, so it's been a wild ride. Hey Sharon, aka Shazza. Are you not, Sharon, are you not in Australia? I only ask because in Australia we call people Shazza. Yeah, and a big I know the animals don't. I can't even. My head can't get there. I'm gonna look into how I can donate for the wildlife as well. Lady Pegasus, I'll be thinking of you tomorrow when you go to your cousin's funeral. I did post about it in the group. I don't remember if it was last night or this morning. Everything's a blur. But one of our on our last stream or the stream before, CS, one of our respectful stalkers, our people, her husband's nephew was killed in a double murder suicide. And so if you can just keep her family in your thoughts, I've shared more about it in the Facebook group. So if you could just, yeah, think of her during this time, that would be amazing. That would be great. Yeah, see, I knew there had to be an Australian connection there, Sharon, because that's what we do call people named Sharon Shazza. So I just had a feeling. So what is everyone doing? Is everyone, I guess everyone must be staying home for New Year's Eve if you're in America. And if you're in Australia, did you go out or did you stay home? I always stay home, but usually I'm a rebel and I stay up late and, you know, do a countdown and all of that. But for me, I just couldn't this year with people. There were 4,000 people on a beach in Victoria. They're without power, food or water. I just couldn't celebrate personally. But if I was in America, I think I would love to go to New York for our New Year's Eve. We do an amazing one in Sydney, but I couldn't really support it this year. But I have been to the Sydney fireworks on New Year's along the harbour near the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. Absolutely spectacular. Incredible. So incredible. Julia's working overtime for double money. That's smart. Oh, Stacey Marie, I know. Fireworks and pets. It's hard. I don't know where you are if fireworks are legal or illegal. Here they're actually illegal with good reason, I personally think, because it's summer and it's Australia and it's so dangerous. But so that actually helps because there's not as many fireworks as there could be. Hey Emily, hey Miss Justice, how are you guys? You live in Louisiana? I would love to visit Louisiana. I know, the koalas. The poor koalas. Staying home. It is fun to go out, but given my health and stuff now, there's no way I couldn't make it to midnight. Especially now, I get up so early in the morning. It's 6:15 there. Oh wow. You can't adopt wildlife. You can actually volunteer to work with wires, and they rescue and nourish and support injured wildlife before they go back out into the wild. I know someone who did that and it was pretty amazing. That would be really cool. It'd be very, very time consuming and hard work though. You'd be up all hours of the day and night. So let's get into the cases from this year. I've written down 16, but I have a feeling someone's going to say a case that I haven't written down so we can discuss it. You both slept till 11 a.m. See, I get up at 7 every morning, which isn't super early, but it's early for me. because Bella, I don't think she can hold her bladder as well as she used to. So she gets up. So I put the bunnies to bed every night at 9:30. I'm a rebel, aren't I? You'd think I was in my, my 70s. I'm only 32. So I don't know how we go. There's no real order. I was thinking we could go in order of like when it happened, but I haven't done the research into that. Hey Renee, Happy New Year. So I've just got a list of 16 cases. I'm excited to see if you guys, some of these won't be, actually, do you know what? There's one I haven't added and I'm going to quickly add it to the bottom. Write it down so don't forget. All right. So I don't know where to start. We're going to be here. Well, we might not be because I'm not going to sort of, go spurting facts at you. We can just chit chat about each case. Let's go with, I'll just start from the top. So the first case I wrote down was the Michael and Casey Jones case. So that's the case out of Florida where Michael Wayne Jones killed Casey Jones, his wife, Preston and Cameron Bowers, a 10 and 5-year-old. Cameron was 10, Preston was 5. They were his stepchildren, and then his 2 daughters with Casey. I've just gone blank. Macaulay and Ayana, who were 2 and 1. And that's the case where he killed them over a period of weeks or even months, and then left their bodies in the car, and then drove their bodies to Georgia, dumped the kids, but couldn't part with his wife, oddly, and got into a car accident. And when police arrived, he told them that there was a body in the car. So that was a case that really gripped me a lot. I was covering it with someone else on a different channel, and Casey's family reached out to me, and so I think it made the case a more human connection as well. And so it's a case that it's just really sad. I mean, they're all cases are sad, but it's just so tragic, especially when children are involved. And it just seems incredibly senseless. So I think that's definitely one that really got to me this year. And that happened September, I believe. I do believe. I haven't even done what I was going to do and put up photos. I have a photo of the kidlets. This photo gets me every time. So yeah, that case, the Michael Jones and Casey Jones case it's just crazy. And so they're actually going for the death penalty for Michael. He's pleaded not guilty, as they all do. They're going for the death penalty. I haven't looked in a couple of 2 weeks if there's anything new that's come up about it, but I will do a sweep of that in a couple of days maybe and see if there's any new information as well. But it's that case just gets to me. And let me know in the comments if you guys know these cases, like if there's a case I cover and you're like, oh, I don't know about it, or let me know if you do know about it, and whether this is a case that this year affected you, or that is a case you'll remember this year as well. Hey, Miss Melissa, how are you? Hey, Montana Sky. That case is Connor and Brinley Snyder. All right. So the next case, let me get the photo up. Try and be professional in some sense. The next case is the Jennifer Doulos, Fotis Doulos case. Hey, Emoji Girl. Happy New Year. Enjoy listening. Hey, Kimay. Happy New Year. How are you? I hope everyone's well. So the Fotis Doulos, Jennifer Doulos case. This happened in, was it May or June? She went missing. He is her ex-husband. Very, very, very long bit of divorce and custody hearing that still hasn't been solved. He hasn't been charged with her murder. A body hasn't been found, but they do believe that she has been killed. There's a lot of evidence as well to point to him. I covered this a lot on another channel, and I'd have to go back and look through my notes for everything, but they had 5 children together, and she, yeah, I get it, Kimay. Just as I started talking, I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be full on. It is. So he's been charged with tampering with evidence a bunch of times, and it's a really messy case. I think he goes to court in a couple of days, I think. So I'll have to do some research. If anyone knows any updates on these cases whilst we're talking about them, just let me know. I should probably maybe just Google whilst we're talking about each case to see if... Wow, there is an update, or there is an update today. So there is a trial going on because there's an issue with there's a civil lawsuit because it's just such a messy case. But Fotis basically borrowed a lot of money from Jennifer's parents, and he never gave it back, and so that Jennifer's mum is suing Fotis, and Gloria Farber, who's Jennifer's mum, actually has custody of the 5 kids because the courts don't think that he's safe to have the children. It's crazy. So they did have the civil trial. I'm trying to see if we know the outcome. Oh, they Fotis Doulos filed a counterclaim for that civil trial. Okay, and they haven't rendered a decision yet about the civil trial. So that's to come. Hey Jen. Welcome. It's so nice to have you in chat. Welcome in. Hey Jana, how are you doing? Happy New Year. I don't know, for me this case is interesting, but I can't stand Fotis Doulos. And as much as I want a resolution for Jennifer's kids and her mum, it's just not a case that captivates me that much. I'll always remember it because we covered it so much this year, but I really can't stand that man. he's just so awful. So it's hard. It's real hard. So if I do updates, I'll probably do updates in the group. If it goes to trial, I don't know if I'll cover it, because I don't know whether he's going to get charged with her murder. I'm really not sure. I'm not sure at all. I guess we'll find out. But let's move on to a case that is not really true crime. I mean, it sort of is. I'm trying to find the photo. It's the case of the orphan girl, Natalia. So let me get the photo. So her name is Natalia Grace Barnett, or Barnett. And she made headlines in, I think, about October, November, because her adoptive parents claim that she was basically like the main character in the movie Orphan, that she was putting thumbtacks on staircases and standing over them with knives. And so they thought that she was not her actual age, and she was like twice the age. And they actually rented an apartment for her and basically let her look after herself whilst they moved to Canada for one of their other sons' college experiences. But her adoptive parents have actually been charged with what were they charged with? I think neglect. And I'm just having a little look, and the latest is that they've actually been 4 new charges have actually been laid against them, which is really interesting. She was actually on Dr. Phil earlier this year as well. It's a really weird case. Hey, Audra. A really weird case. So it's not really true. Well, I mean, it's crime, I suppose. A lot of people think that she is like in her 30s, and a lot of people think she is, as she says, she is 16. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because of the fact that she does have dwarfism. She has a severe form of it, so it's hard for specialists as well to determine her age because her bones aren't typical because of her medical condition. But so when they basically dumped her into that apartment, she would have only been about 9 years old, and so she had to fend for herself until another family took her in. She actually had been passed around quite a lot to different families as well, but that's not really been talked about a whole bunch. It's really interesting. Do you guys know about this case of Natalia? I finally got to watch the Dr. Phil interview about a month ago, I think. She seems to not remember a lot of her childhood, which is interesting. I don't know whether it was traumatic for her or what, but yeah. we'll have to look out and see what the latest is on that one. Happy New Year's, Chaz. It's just one of those cases where, like, you can't make this stuff up. It's crazy. It's just so weird. So weird. Let me mark that off my list. So let's talk about someone that some of you guys probably won't know about, but if I can, I will try and link my own video. It's something pretty big in Australia happened. Actually, a couple of big stories in Australia happened this year. And one of them was that our most well-known serial killer, Ivan Milat, actually died. And I actually covered that live when it happened, which was very interesting. I knew that it was coming because of the fact that he had cancer. And we were getting a lot of updates, especially in Australia, about his health and when he got moved to like a hospital unit. And so I actually did a true crime spotlight on him just before this happened. So there is a video that goes into detail about what this crazy guy did. Drive safe, Chaz. Hey, J.R. Lang. To summarize, he was a serial killer that was very active, mostly in the 70s and no, between the 80s and 90s. He did do some things during the 70s as well, because he robbed and kidnapped people, and he actually got away with that. But he killed 7 backpackers. So people that came to Australia and hitchhiked to places and got work in different places, and they were all tourists. He sort of had, he would pick them up and ask them lots of questions and see if they had a lot of family, if they were in contact with them, and he sussed it all out before he would actually kill them. And he was pretty brutal with what he did. He would sever their spinal cord so they couldn't actually get away. It's really, really, really awful. But so he got life in prison. And he, even in prison, he was crazy. He, at one point, swallowed razor blades. At another point, he went on a hunger strike because he wanted to get a PlayStation. He ended up going on a 9-day hunger strike, and he lost like 20, 30 kilos. He also went on he was working hard at good behavior so he could get a plastic knife to use. And when he got that plastic knife, he actually cut off his finger and wanted to send it to the high courts to give them a message. Unfortunately, they couldn't reattach the finger. So yeah, it's kind of like everyone was sort of happy when he died, as sad as that is about a human, but he was an awful POS. And so yeah, he was crazy. Hey Awuja, how you feeling? Oh my gosh, she says, I used to go mushroom picking in the forest where some of the murders took place. Yeah, so he took all of his victims to Belanglo State Forest, and that's where they were all found. And then oddly enough, really bizarrely, hey TTNZ, Happy New Year. His nephew was arrested and charged and convicted of murder for murdering his friend in Belanglo as well, which is really crazy. And they all believe that one of the Malat's brothers or possibly sisters actually helped him in the murders, and they haven't been caught. So, oh, I'm so sorry you have an infection. That sucks. Oh my gosh, Bella Blue. She says, I told Supermax in training he was banging on the internal window and waving at us. Gave me the heebie-jeebies. Oh my gosh. That is crazy. I would have chills, I think. That would be so freaky. So yeah, there is a video. Let me quickly grab my own video on Ivan Milat and I'll put it in the description. And I do want to get back to, in 2020, doing those edited videos because I really do love them. The only thing is that it's a lot easier to come live and to chit chat and to sort of and ah and do things with you interactively. It's a lot of work to do edited videos. I have scripts, I have to record them and edit them, and obviously the research as well. But I really love doing them, and there's a lot of cases I want to cover, so I will do that. So let me find that video. Here we go. It was from 3 months ago. So I'll pop that in the description in case you want to watch that in your free time. Okay. Done. The lives are great because we can chit chat and we can work together and research stuff. I do love the edited videos. I'd like to be able to do at least one a week in the future. Okay, so let's move on from Mr. Milat. Let me mark him off my list. My little list that I made. Where is he? Okay, let's talk about Savannah Spurlock. Oh, thank you, Montana Sky. I really love doing them. I did one actually on Matthew Leverson, who he was murdered by his partner. What is it called? Inquiry. They did an inquiry on it and found that his partner did murder him. His partner told them, police, where his Happy New Year's, Katrina. His partner told police where his body was, but he got away with it, and his partner is out walking. And I did a video on Matthew because I wanted to share his story. And his mum and dad, Matthew's mum and dad, saw the video and thanked me for the video. And I think that along with helping find Tashira this year, was probably the highlights for me. To know that I was able to honour Matthew's family and Matthew's story, it was amazing. So that's another video I did, if you want to check that one out as well. Yes, I do hope that 2020 is a good year for everyone. Let's wash away. I feel like 2019 was kind of hard for everyone. I hope that we can have a better 2020. It's going to be hard for me, I'm not going to lie, because of what will happen, what I know will happen, but I'm still hoping for a great 2020. New decade, a fresh start. Okay, we were talking about Savannah. So, how awful it was. Basically, Savannah went out in Lexington. She went out for a few drinks a couple of weeks after her twins were born, and she didn't come home, unfortunately. And so we followed the story and looked at the leads. We looked at the video they gave us still images and I think video of her leaving with some men. And I think we even looked and found the car outside Google Maps, on Google Maps. And so, but it went cold, and so nothing happened. And I'll always remember that I was on Twitter and someone had shared that there were people outside of the home of one of the men that Savannah was last seen at, and the police were investigating. I'll always just remember that. And I called my friend and we went live, and it's just something I'll always remember, really remember, because whilst we were live, we watched them come out of the house with that big container, and we knew that was Savannah. And so it was hard, but it was good in a way, the fact that her family had answers, but you know, it's not the best outcome, of course. I agree, Bella Blue. That's why they did it. And what a hard decision for them to make. They had to make that decision, and it just sucks. Sophia, not that one. This is an Oz. That was Maddie Leverson was an Aussie case. So Savannah's case was just really heartbreaking, and the guy that she was seen with, he's been charged with her murder. And I don't know, let's see what the latest is on that, because I haven't looked in a little while. So, okay, so there's an update from November. We remember that he pled not guilty. They all do that. Oh, and the thing that I remember from that case is they said that she was in an unnatural position. Well, there's not really much of an update. Okay, so there's going to be a hearing on January 3rd. So let's mark that in. Let's remember that, guys. So if you guys see anything about that on January 3rd, he's meant to be in court. No idea what for, but it was pushed back 60 days to January 3rd. So the guy's name that did this was, what was his name? David Sparks. He goes to pre-trial January 3rd. Awesome. Yeah, she had duct tape. She was folded over. Yeah, just awful. And then I think we all talked about her a lot again in the last couple of weeks, because Peyton Houston sort of went missing from a bar, left with guys. So it was very sort of reminiscent. And I hope for Peyton's sake that it's not the same outcome as Savannah's. I haven't looked this morning to see if there's any updates. I haven't done true crime in like 24 hours, so I'm a bit rusty. But yeah, Savannah's case this year was one of those cases that I think I'll always remember as well. Oh, thanks, Renee. Yeah, he had her for 6 months. He moved her around, which just, ugh. All right, let me look at my notes. We're getting through them. Okay, so we were talking about, I'll segue into the next one then. So we were talking about how, you know, I was live when I was doing the Savannah stuff. And so that was really kind of crazy. And I did that with the Heidi Brassard case. But I think the one that I covered live that will affect me the most is the Auckland terrorist attack. So let me pull some info up just so that I remember that because I don't want to be super rusty. But this was when I was first coming back to YouTube, and it happened on March 15th. And I went live kind of without thinking. And I think it's my most viewed video on YouTube. And things have changed since then, and I wouldn't have done it the same way. But I was just covering it and covering what we knew. And basically, a man, I'm not going to mention his name. He was a 28-year-old man from a couple of hours away from me. He actually went to New Zealand to commit this offence because the gun laws were different there and he could actually get the gun that he wanted. He live streamed this, and unfortunately, whilst I was doing the research, whilst I was live, I scrolled past and I actually saw part of the live stream, which was just, it was really, really awful, and I won't ever forget that. But he walks into a mosque during Friday prayer and he kills 51 people, and 40 others were injured. It was crazy. And so the whole area was in lockdown, and I'll always remember, and I'm not going to cry, but it was hard. Hey, Zeraisha, I'll always remember that there was schools in that lockdown zone, and I had kids that were in the schools under desks, terrified because they were all locked down because no one knew where the shooter was, and they were in my chat asking for updates because they didn't know what was going on. And so I tried to keep myself together and try and reassure them. It was so emotional. It was really emotional, and it's another thing I'll never ever forget. And so that live stream really affected me, and so it was just hard when it became real, when I had kids that were in class and their teachers were terrified. And I had one kid say, I actually live close to home. The school's close to my home. I'm going to try and run home. And I said to him, don't do it. Please don't do it. And then a couple of minutes later, he messages in the chat and he says, I'm safe. But they were all scared for their lives. It was really full on, guys. It was so full on. Yeah, it was a horrible day. It was a horrible day. So that happened, March 15th. The live is still up if you want to listen. I don't think I could listen to it again. But yeah, in a place of worship, he deliberately attacked Muslims. And I called it what it was. It was a terrorist attack. It was. And yeah, it's something I will remember from this year. Absolutely. That was my segue into the Auckland terrorist attack. Let's move on to something a little lighter. I don't think I've got anything light on this one. Let's look at a good story from this year then. A good story from this year, and it was at the beginning of the year, is Jamie Kloss. She rescued herself, incredibly. So I wasn't following the case a whole bunch in the beginning. I was aware of what had happened, but I wasn't checking for updates. I wasn't really super involved. So it wasn't really until she was found I knew much about the case. So what I do know now is that September 20th, was it 23rd? I think it was the 23rd. No, it was October 15th. What's September 23rd? There's something that happened on September 23rd. Maybe it's a different case. It's a different case. Her parents are killed in front of her, and she is kidnapped, abducted, and for 88 days she is held hostage in the home of Jake Patterson, who can rot in hell. And then remarkably, on January 10th, she saved herself. She escaped. And it was kind of like a miracle that never happens in true crime. I don't know about you guys, but he certainly, yeah, he did bring shame to Australia, very much so. So she found herself. She saved herself incredibly. And so then we saw during the year that the POS that did this, Jake Patterson, he pled guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of kidnapping. They didn't mention anything about anything that happened in the home between Jake and Jamie, and I think that that's great, and we don't have to go into that at all. But how long did he get? Does it say how long he got? Oh, 2 consecutive life sentences plus an additional 40 years. So he'll never get out. So I guess there was kind of a little closure this year as well. She saved herself, and then there was some closure because she wasn't forced to have to go through the ordeal of a trial, which thank goodness for that. And it's just incredible that, hey, Catalan, Happy New Year. Just so incredible that happened, that she rescued herself. I mean, she's wonderful. She joins the ranks of Elizabeth Smart and JC Lee Dugard and the Cleveland Three and so many others. It's just incredible. So, I mean, that is a great story from this year. One of the happiest outcomes, despite the fact that obviously she's incredibly traumatized and she lost her 2 parents, but at least she was safe in the end. I'm trying to find where I wrote it on my list. I'm going all through the list. Yeah, so for all of you that followed the case from the beginning, I can't imagine how emotional that would have been. Because the thing is that doesn't really happen. It's not common for this to happen. And the fact that he wasn't known to her or her family at all, it was a stranger crime, which is not common. And then she was alive as well. So it's, I mean, it could it be considered one of the cases of the decade? I think it would. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, she does deserve her privacy as well. So let's have a little look at a couple of trials that happened this year that meant a lot to us. So when you think of trials for this year, what trials are we thinking? Let's see if you guys all know the obvious one. Let me pull it up. Oh gosh, that's very large. Don't need to see that much of his forehead. Oh gosh, his eyes are evil too. So, the trial of Patrick Frazee. So this is an interesting one. I think we all went into this thinking, I don't know, I wasn't very confident about this trial. I didn't know whether we would get what we wanted, in a sense, because there was no body and we didn't think there was a lot of evidence, but boy were we wrong. So Patrick Frazee was charged with the murder of his fiancée, Kelsey Bereth. They had a little girl together. Her body has never been found. However, yes, Sophia, Jake Patterson watched Jamie from the school bus drop off. That's how he first saw her. I'll have to have a look, Julia. So Patrick was very stoic and wouldn't speak, and so we haven't really heard him speak. And we thought that they were going to trial and they were going to fight really hard and really dirty. Unfortunately, cameras and even audio wasn't allowed in the courtroom, so we relied on the man of the year, Mr. Sam Kramer, and he helped us to learn about the case. So basically every night he would come on Facebook Live and tell us the notes from the day. Yes, and then and sadly, because of the case ending, we lost old Ma Fraze. Her username is gone in the dust now. But so every night we would come on and listen to Sam Kramer tell us what happened in court that day. And as the days progressed, we learnt, oh, they have more evidence than we knew. And then we learnt what Crystal Kenny was saying and how I don't think without her testimony they would have been able to find him guilty. So she was key, and she's got court coming up soon too. There's a lot going on in January, actually. I should probably get it all written down in my diary so we don't forget anything. But so trial went for what, 10 days, something like that, and then the jury was out, and I woke up and the jury was deliberating, and then within the space of an hour of me waking up, they actually had a verdict, and I was shocked. I thought it was going to take them longer. It didn't take them too long at all. And then they found him guilty. So he will stay behind bars for a very long time. Unfortunately, we don't have Kelsey's remains, and that's really, really hard and awful. But at least we sort of know what happened to her, and I hope that's some comfort for her family. I really wish we could have watched that trial, though. That would have been a trial that I would have really would have loved to watch this year. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that would have been a pretty brilliant trial to watch. I wanted to see his facial expressions because apparently he looked down a lot. I just would have loved to have seen it, but unfortunately they've kept him very well guarded. I guess because a lot of people don't like him. I wonder why that is. So there's two other trials that I have on my list to talk about. So let's talk about the trial of Amber Geiger for the murder of Botham Jean. So I think this is do you guys think that the Patrick Frazee, which one do you think was bigger? Patrick Frazee or Botham Jean? I feel like Botham Jean's was. And then that's so small, I don't get it. So this happened in, was it September? Yeah, it was. So last year, September 6th, Amber Geiger walks into Botham Jean's apartment thinking it's hers, and she shoots him and sadly kills him. And then a year later they have the trial, and the trial was huge. I think it was pretty big. We covered it a lot. We had a lot of people that wanted information on it. And I was checking every day about what was going on in the trial and trying to watch whatever I could. And I'll always remember his birthday is... What date is his birthday? September 29th, and that was during the trial as well, and so that was pretty profound. So she was found guilty of his murder, which was a win. Everyone was so happy about that. And then I think one of the most profound moments I've ever seen in a courtroom happened, in which Botham's brother actually asked the judge if he could hug Amber, and they hugged, and there was not a dry eye in the house or on YouTube as we saw that moment. And I think it was pretty amazing. She only received a 10-year sentence, which is disappointing, but it's the way that the justice system works. I have actually read that let me quickly just double check, because I think she actually is contesting it. Let's check the news. I thought I'd seen somewhere that she did. Have you guys seen that anywhere? It certainly made me cry. Hey, Tracker 3, Happy New Year. Yeah, her sentence was short. I swear I saw something about her. Let me put in sentence and see what happens, what comes up. I swear I saw something about her contesting her sentence. Maybe I was wrong. There is some news a couple of days ago about this though. Botham Jean's family actually filed a wrongful death lawsuit, and the city of Dallas has been dismissed from that. I'm not sure if if Amber Geiger has been though. So they dismissed a lawsuit from the city of Dallas. And so now the sole defendant is Amber Geiger. I'll have to do some research later and see, because I swear I saw something about her contesting. But anyway. Appealing it, yeah. Let me put that in, say, Amber. Or maybe it's because Botham Jean's family filed an appeal against the decision. I don't know. I'll have to do some research on that in the future and have a little look. But so I think we all left that trial feeling like there was some healing and that there was some power in that. And then one of the witnesses in that trial, Joshua Brown, was killed. And I think it sort of kind of just, it was so upsetting. It was like a punch in the gut. And then, if we're going to talk about police officers and people of color who are doing nothing but being in their homes, we should probably talk about Tatiana Jefferson and what happened to her. So this was in what month was this in? This happened in Texas. And a neighbor was concerned because they saw Tatiana's front door open and all the lights on, and it wasn't typical. Didn't ring 911, didn't ring rang the non-emergency number. And it was sort of like a welfare check. And the police go there, guns drawn, don't announce themselves. This happened on October 12th. And when she pulls the curtain back, she sees the officer and he shoots her and kills her with her, I think, 8-year-old nephew there as well. He's been charged with her murder, and he is a huge douchebag because this happened on like a Friday, I think, and he wasn't questioned over the weekend. And then Monday morning he rocks up to the station and resigns and then gets charged with murder. So where is he now? Did he get bond? He posted the bond. The bond was a $200,000 bond, and he posted it in 3 hours. And he was indicted only recently, only just on December 20th, he was indicted by a grand jury on a murder charge. So we will definitely be following that one because it's just so senseless and disgusting. And I really felt for her. And then you see a Tatiana on the screen, and then on the left is her father. And unfortunately, within a month or two, he actually had a heart attack and died, which was really, really sad. Hey, Amy, Happy New Year. That was really sad as well. So I really felt for their family, and I hope that whatever you guys believe in, I hope that wherever they are, they're together and not suffering. But it's just really sad, this case. And the police officer, you kind of felt with Amber that she took responsibility. She knew that she did it. She said on the stand she did it. She apologized. But this dude, even the photo, let me show you a photo of him. His name's Dean something, Officer Aaron Dean. I'll show you a photo of him. He's just so cold. Even like his mugshot is just the way that he is. He refused to talk to police, even though he is police or was police at the time. Hands in his resignation, refuses to talk to anyone. So yeah, his mugshot's on screen now. Just, ugh. I don't like him at all. I hope there will be justice with this one as well. We will be following this one. 100%. So, geez, talk about a delay. There's a huge delay now, guys. So that photo should come up in a second of his mugshot. He's just so evil behind his eyes. So yeah, we will follow the trial of him. I hope that it's also public, it's televised, whatever, so that we can watch that together and talk about it, because I do really like watching trials and then being able to talk to you guys all about it as well. So he looks like he thinks he's special. Exactly. Hey, Andrew. Andrew, why do you always retract your messages? I gotta know. So let's move on to another case. This is the other trial this year that I was transfixed by. I want to know if you guys were as well. So let me pull the photo up. Which photo shall I use? Let's use this one. So this is the case of Skylar Richardson. So I'm not sure what you guys, if you guys know this case, but let me pull up the dates because I don't remember the dates. So her trial was in September, but she went on trial because the prosecution believed that she killed and buried her newborn baby that was a secret. So she had a baby in May 2017 that no one knew about, and she gave birth in her home. No one knew. Her parents didn't know. She was, I think, 17 at the time. And she says that when she gave birth, the baby was already deceased. And so she went out into the garden, dug a hole and put the baby in the garden and didn't tell anyone until then. She went back to her doctor who had confirmed she was pregnant, and they said, "Where's the baby?" And she sort of broke down and confessed that the baby had died and that she'd buried the baby. So then they obviously tell the police, and so this madness happens and she's charged with murder and abuse of a corpse. They couldn't work out a cause of death with the baby, and it was a very heated case because people believed she was either a baby killer or she was completely innocent, and this was just a really bad parenting situation / she really stuffed up and she should have told people about it. So yeah, so in the photo on the screen, the red dress, that was the night before she gave birth. She went to prom, and that's the photo of her. So they really couldn't work out a cause of death. And on the stand I think they had two medical examiners and both believed different things had occurred. Skylar actually, she testified, didn't she? I can't remember. Did she? Let me have a look. I can't remember. I don't think she did she? No, she didn't. But there's so much to the case, and it's actually one that I want to do a video, like a true crime spotlight on, because there's so much to the case. She had an eating disorder. She had a really bad relationship with her mum. Her mum is something else. Her mum was encouraging her to lose weight because she looked like she was gaining weight because she was pregnant. And her mum was encouraging her to get laxatives. It was just really messed up, the whole situation. And so I hope, the last I heard that she actually was in a rehab, eating disorder rehab facility. Let's see if I can find anything new. No, nothing new. I just hope that she's getting the help that she needs, because I think that there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. In my town, Ohio, she's known as the Ice Pick Queen. Really? Wow. Geezer Monkey says Skylar Case was here in Ohio. She got off easy. Family connections, in my opinion. It's a really hard case, and I know that a lot of people believe she's innocent and a lot of people believe that she's guilty. I think we can all agree that no matter her guilt or innocence, one, that baby didn't have to die. If she had told people that she was pregnant, the baby probably would still be alive. And two, she needs a lot of help. She's obviously got huge issues, and I hope that she's getting the help that she clearly needs. I really hope she does. I'd love to know how she's doing now, though. If anyone knows anything, can you email it to me? Yeah, her mother is something else. And the text messages. I read all the text messages between her and her mum. Just crazy. Really toxic. Really, really toxic. Okay, let's move on to another one. So this is a case that it didn't really get as much attention on YouTube, I don't think. But it was a case I covered a lot. And I can't get the photo to come up. One moment, please. And I haven't actually looked at any updates, so we'll probably have to do that right now. But this is the case of the Essex lorry truck deaths. And I really haven't looked in the last maybe month about what's going on with that. So 39 Vietnamese nationals were found in the back of a lorry, which is a truck, in October. It is believed that they were being trafficked over the border between Belgium and the UK. And there have been some charges in that. I'm just looking for the latest. Basically, these poor people were put into the back of a lorry, a truck, and had no idea that the truck was refrigerated. These people died a really horrible, brutal death. And in fact, one of the females that was in the lorry, in the truck, actually was texting her parents saying that she was cold and that she was going to die. And sadly she did. And it was just really absolutely awful and horrific. And it's the biggest, I think, trafficking case, but also there's something else that they called it, but it's the biggest trafficking case in the UK that's ever been uncovered, because it's 39 people and 2 teenagers were in that group of people. So the guy who was driving the lorry, he has been charged with murder or manslaughter. Let's just have a little look. They died a horrible death. Yeah, they did. So Eamon Harrison is 23, and he I think he owned the lorry. I can't remember how bad my memory is right now. The other guy that was charged, he has twins on the way, which is really, really awful. I think he's the one that actually, I don't think he knew that there were bodies in the back of the vehicle, but he has been charged. Let me just pull my notes up so I can refresh myself. Mo Robinson, that's the dude, 25, from Northern Ireland. He has been charged as well. So the truck was owned by a company that is known to traffic people, and then the truck is rented out to certain people. It's just this whole big huge link, unfortunately, and so they're still trying to work it all out, I believe. But the 39 people were all Vietnamese, and they came over to start a better life and to send the money back to their families. And hey Bergstrong. And it's just really sad, especially those text messages. They were awful. I do have videos on the case if you want to go back and have a little look on my channel. Someone maybe accidentally put the refrigeration unit on. Maybe they'd done it before and this time they accidentally did it. So they actually are now looking at the borders, especially the border that they were allowed in through, to make sure this never happens again. So I guess some positive has come out of this, but it's just really sad because I'm completely shocked by. Okay, let's see what else is on my list. I think we're getting to the tail end. Okay, so there's 3 more things I want to talk about. Let's talk about the Australian first. So this is another thing that I covered live, and it was the Sydney stabbing. So I got told that there was a stabbing happening in Sydney, or a guy on a rampage. And oh boy, did he go on a rampage. So a guy named Mert Ney, who was very mentally unwell. What date did this happen? It was in August, I remember that. It happened in August, I know that for sure. He killed Michaela Dunn. So she was a sex worker and he unfortunately killed her. And then after he killed her, he took the knife and decided to attack throughout the Sydney CBD, so the city centre. And he stabbed a 41-year-old woman, Lynn Bowe, during the attack. So I was covering this live. And whilst that was going on, some members of the public who were just in the area at the time actually took the guy down. So they used milk crates and chairs, to subdue the guy and then move the knife away from him so that he couldn't hurt anyone else, which was pretty incredible. So I really, the reason that Michaela stood out to me is because when it was announced who she was and that the fact that she was a sex worker, there was a lot of judgment and a lot of victim blaming, saying that it was her fault for what she did. But she was a very intelligent woman who was studying at university, at college, and she led a very incredible life and was really, really happy. She was studying, I don't remember what she was studying, but she was studying full time and she loved to travel as well. She was studying marketing and public relations. So yeah, it was just a case that touched me this year. Yeah, Michaela Dunn. And it was amazing. They actually captured it. Let me see if I can find it. I can show you the video. There's a lot of language in it though. There's video of him being caught. If I can find it. Nope, that's not it. Let's see if I can find a still photo for you for now. Here's a still photo. Ugh, and it won't load. It's coming, guys. Here we go. So yeah, they subdued the guy until the police arrived. It was pretty incredible. I was very proud of Australia and Sydney then. It's a very Aussie thing to do. Very, very Australian. That photo should come up in a moment. So let's have a look and see what the latest is on him and see what happened. So he only appeared in court recently. The brief of evidence against him is 7,000 pages. He's 21 years old. And so his charges include murder and wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm because of the fact he stabbed Linbo. So it doesn't return to court until till February. So there's still some time. They're still doing some work on it. But he suffers from severe mental illness, and he'd actually escaped from a mental health unit, I believe. I do believe that happened at the time. It was just amazing to watch. There's a video of it that's floating around. If I can find it, I'll pop it up on Facebook, or the Facebook group, and on my Twitter. There's a video of them capturing Mert, which is pretty incredible to watch. So I've got two other cases I want to talk about. Let's talk about Connor and Brynlee Snyder. So this is the case that, I mean, shocked so many of us. This is the case of the two beautiful little babies. I'm calling them babies. Connor and Brynlee. Connor was 8 and Brynlee was 4. Their mother called 911 saying that the 8-year-old had committed suicide and taken his sister along as well. She said that he had been severely bullied and had been telling people, friends, that story. She created a Facebook group right after it happened. She posted on Facebook Marketplace right after it happened, selling their stuff. The group that she created, she posted in it all the time, and it was like nothing had happened. It was really weird to watch, and everyone was watching thinking she had something to do with it. And so a couple of months later, the beginning of December, she was actually arrested and charged with their murders. They realized that there was no way that Connor, having fine motor skill issues, he would be able to know how to hang himself or his sister, because it's not that easy. You have to sort of weight it correctly, and the rope that was used was a dog chain that she'd bought a couple of days beforehand. So, I mean, she was charged with their murders, and she was also charged with animal cruelty because she did some pretty awful things to her dog. So if you want to hear more about that case, I do have a video on it. It's very, very shocking, and I will warn you, it's not for a lot of people. Some people it'll be a bit much, especially because there's some pretty full-on things that she did with her dog involved. But I will link it in my what's it called? In my description box, in case anyone wants to go and watch it. I did cover a lot of these cases. Actually, all of these cases I covered, but unfortunately some of these cases you won't see the work that I did because unfortunately I did it on another channel and that channel is no longer. So, but I do have a lot of videos from earlier in the year that are still there if you want to go and have a look at all the different cases, especially like the Aussie cases as well. Yeah, so maybe skip that one then. I read with Connor and Brynlee's case, I read the arrest warrant information and it's pretty full on. The messages were really vile and foul, so it is a really full on case. So I get if you don't want to watch it. I get it. I got a lot of dislikes on that video, funnily enough. Probably because that woman is disgusting. I get it. But that was a case that really shocked me this year, and a lot of people haven't covered it because of the fact that it's just so incredibly brutal as well. A lot of really crazy, messed up cases happen this year, guys. I mean, I don't know whether it's just because I'm... Thank you, Bella Blue. I can't actually show that though because it's a YouTube video, but I'll pop it up on the Facebook group. Yeah, she is a sicko. She's absolutely crazy. She's just foul. So we will be following that case. I'm interested to see. I do want to follow that case, and watch her get justice. And then finally, the last case I wanted to talk about is the case that I think we all ended our year on, and that's the case of Heidi Broussard and Margot Carey. I'm just trying to get an image up. I think I deleted all of my saved images. How's the quality been of the stream, guys? Has it been okay? I think I worked out the problem. So this case, basically, I think we should all, I'm sure we all know about this case. I covered it a lot. I haven't covered it lately because it seems everyone's covering it and I don't want to like rehash if everyone else is doing the same cases. But Heidi and her 2-week-old at the time went missing in Texas, and everyone basically blamed her partner after 2 interviews that he did. I was on the fence. I thought everyone was being a bit too quick to judge. I had noted that he was swaying and that, you know, showing signs of being distressed, but hey, it's a pretty distressing situation to be in. And I went live about it a couple of times, and then we found out that they were at the home of her friend, her best friend. And so I went live and we watched it unfold. Hey Gingerlocks, Happy New Year. We watched it unfold and we watched, I'll link the stream, that stream as well. We watched as we saw the silver car at her friend Megan's home. We saw them confirm that a baby had been taken from them home earlier that day. We found out that a body had been removed from that home. Hey Mandy Ray, how are you? Happy New Year. And so we learnt a lot that night whilst I was live. It was pretty intense. And so we found out that sadly Megan had strangled, I believe, Heidi, and kept the baby. She'd faked a pregnancy. It's the stuff of a movie. Some of these cases this year, I don't know how it could have gotten any crazier. So that best friend I can't with her. She has been charged with the murder and I think the kidnapping of Margot. Margot is now safe with her dad, thankfully, and they got to spend Christmas together, which is amazing. I haven't done anything else on it. I mean, I really will if you guys want, but there's other cases I do want to cover. I think this case is being covered by a lot of people and I don't want to like rehash, but it's definitely a case that was a case of 2019. It's scraped in at the end of the year, and I think it's the case everyone will remember from December of this year. And it's just such a sad and really messed up outcome given the fact that it was her best friend. Like, ugh, her best friend. It's just so gross. How could you do that to your friend and fake a pregnancy? It's just, there's so many questions we all still have, I am sure. There was another case that happened just recently on Christmas that I covered in our last stream, our lineup. And that's the case of Kevin Bacon, not the actor. He's a man from Michigan. And his family have actually, not his family, his friends have actually reached out to me. And so our next stream will be dedicated to Kevin, and we will be focusing on what happened to him and more information about the man that murdered him, because I think it's a crime that needs to be discussed, and I think we need to have a conversation about the dangers of dating apps. And so I'd really like to have that conversation. I think it's a good way to have that conversation. So I will be chatting to his friends and maybe seeing if some of them want to come on and share their story and their memories of Kevin. So that's another case of this year that was just so sad. And there are so many cases. These are only the cases that I wrote down. There's so many other cases that really everyone has different cases that affected them. Let me know in the comments what some of the cases were that really, the little girl who was abducted and murdered, that was a really tragic case as well. What else is there? I'm trying to think of other things that I followed. The Mormon massacre, that was awful. I'm just trying to think, what other cases are there from this year? Yeah, I wondered that too, Bella, if Heidi noticed any red flags. And that's kind of why I want to do, I'd love to do a series on red flags when it comes to people. I want to talk to, there's a couple of people who have actually escaped from the home that Kevin Bacon was murdered in, and I really want to talk to them. I want to know what made them leave and what red flags they noticed. I really want to do that. Because there's always red flags in any situation, in any bad situation. I know, Bunny Bubs, I was so sad for Margot and the fact that her first Christmas, you know, was without her mum, and she won't ever have a Christmas with her mum, and it's just awful. Oh, Brittany Shank, absolutely. Well, Brittany Shank was more, that happened last year. She was, I didn't include it because the crime actually technically happened last year, but she's a case that I think will always carry on as well. Oh, Malaya Davis. I don't actually know much about that case. That's not a case I followed. And see, that's why I think it's good for us to all chat about cases that we follow this year and that mean something to us. Because we learn about other people's stories and other cases as well. That name sounds familiar to me, Lady Pegasus, but I oh wow. She disappeared Saturday, August 31st. She murdered, so Amanda Carmick murdered her stepdaughter, 10-year-old stepdaughter. Wow, that's so sad. Leave killed kids alone. Your LQ IQ is lower today? Really hard covering the ones with the kids. It's just really, I have to, when I cover cases though, I have to emotionally switch off, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it. Honestly. I guess that's something that happened this year. I'm not someone who talks about Chris Watts. I think that that's over, but we did hear that interview that he released, and then obviously the book that was released, and all of that sort of drama happened in this year in 2019. But I really don't care about Chris Watts. I'm not saying you guys care about Chris Watts. But like I don't want to cover, I won't be covering that case. It is the only way to cover a case, is to emotionally detach from it, because I can't. And that's the problem with when I go live, especially in the beginning. I got too emotionally invested, especially that Auckland live stream. I can't do that again. I have to stay logical brain, otherwise it just doesn't work. I just can't do it. And then when I get off the stream is when I decompress and I think about it and I can feel it. But whilst I'm live or doing a video, I have to switch off emotionally. Is there any other cases from this year? Let me see if I can Google it and see if there's any other cases I've missed out. I mean, there's Jeffrey Epstein, but I really don't care about him. The Jussie Smollett stuff happened in February. Remember, I still don't understand what really happened. They say that he staged the assault. The charges were dropped against him. I don't know. I really don't care. Oh, a case I didn't follow, but I'm really interested in it. It's the case of Tessa Majors. She was killed by a 13-year-old. And then a 14-year-old was arrested as well. So I don't know if you're interested in that case, but she was walking in Manhattan and she was killed in December. It's crazy. Now the Turpin case where the kids were abused in the home, that happened last year, but this year they were actually sentenced. They were sentenced to 25 years to life. Adam Matos. Oh my gosh, that man. Fifth body found in East Gippsland. Oh no. Oh. I don't even know how many that is for the fire season. Oh, no. Don't apologize, Jan at all. I'm probably one of the only... No, I better not say that. But I just... it's worth mentioning, Chris Watts. I mean, a lot happened with that case for those that are interested in it. I didn't cover Anaya Blanchard's case, but that happened as well. I didn't follow it. The Hollywood Ripper was charged. He's the Ashton Kutcher testified in his case because he was dating the woman that the Hollywood Ripper killed. I'm just having a little scroll. Oh, how can I have forgotten about this one, guys? Do you guys remember the Hacienda nursing home case where the woman who has been incapacitated for years gave birth? Technically, she gave birth December 29th of last year, but he pleaded not guilty in February of this year. Wow, I've totally forgot about that case. So Nathan Sutherland, he worked at the facility. That really fascinated me, that one. Let's Google his name and see what comes up, see what the latest is with him. Let me know if you know about this case. Oh, that's just a video. We don't want a video. Oh. Okay, so there's a court date for this. The court will actually, okay, so February 25th, that case will start. We have to follow that case. I might do a little video and upload it about that case. So a woman in her 20s is incapacitated. She's like in a vegetative, I can't do it, a vegetative state. And on one morning, they realized at the facility that she'd given birth to a baby boy, and no one had any idea that she was pregnant, even though they did all of her hygiene things. They never noticed that she was pregnant, and that just caused a huge uproar. And then so they wondered like how this actually happened, and then they did a DNA test on the baby, and then I think everyone that worked at the place, and discovered that one of the workers there had obviously raped her. And it just caused huge uproar. And so the baby's actually now living with her family, I believe. And so his trial, he's pleaded not guilty. So his trial is February. Let me write that down so we don't forget. Feb 25th. Wow. Forgot all about that one. I know, Bella Blue. Then we had, moving on, I mean, we have the Felicity Huffman, Lori Loughlin college admission scandal thing. I don't really care about that. I don't really see that as true crime for me. What else? Let's see if there's any other cases. Well, that didn't lead me to an article. Is there only 3 articles on that? Oh well. I can't think of any other cases. Maybe I've forgotten some. Baby Amaya from Indiana is still missing. Let me look at that. In 7 months? Let me look at the latest on that. I don't actually know about this case. She went missing in March, so it's been, oh my gosh, 9 months. So what happened to her? The girl's mother said her ex-boyfriend planned to drop Amaya off with a babysitter at an address on Holmes Street, but the babysitter said Amaya was never there. Wow. That's so sad. And yeah, she missed her 1-year-old birthday. Oh gosh. I'll have to write that down as well. Emily, it's so funny that you said that. I was actually planning on doing that. I was going to try and do it in the Facebook group, if there was a way of having a file. I might do that after we get off. Let me write it down in my notes so that I will do that. I think it's a good idea, and then anyone can go and have a look at it, and add to it if they want to. Unless I use like a Google Docs. I may use a Google Docs instead, actually, so that anyone who's not on Facebook can still access it. So maybe events. We could do that as well. But I think that's a brilliant idea. I've wanted to do that for ages, but I've just been so swamped. But I've written that down because I think it would be good if we could do that, because it's a community, and I think if we all work together, we can all find the information together as well. So I might start a Google Doc and make like a calendar, and then anyone can add in stuff that they want as well. Catelyn, I know I don't understand either with all of these children. I mean, it's like the Michael Jones case. He says he accidentally killed Casey Jones during an argument. He took the bat off her and hit her over the head. So why weeks later does he kill the boys, and then weeks after that he kills his 2-year-old and his 1-year-old? There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to kill anyone at all. But I just don't understand. I can't wrap my head around it at all, how you could do that to innocent children who have done nothing wrong. It's just so foul. It's so foul. But I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've been on for 2 hours. They're the cases that got to me this year that I covered or I was invested in. Anyone that's watching the replay, definitely leave in the comments the cases that affected you the most. The cases that you want us to cover in 2020. I have started a list, so if there is a case that you are really invested in following through to trial, then please let me know. I will write it down. And thank you so much for your support in 2019. 2019 was a very interesting year, and I came back to YouTube after taking a couple of years off, and I kind of changed my channel completely and focus now on true crime. And it's hard to cover true crime, but I really enjoy being able to try and help people. And this year I was able to do that because I helped Tashira, and I helped Tashira's mum find her and bring her home safely. So my mission was completed this year, and for 2020 I plan to continue to be a victim's advocate and to help share the stories of cases that aren't told as much as others, and to try and learn from the cases that we cover. So I will see you guys tomorrow for a live about Kevin Bacon, the men murdered in Michigan. And then following that, it'll be back to every other day. So enjoy your new year if you're in America. Ring it in with style. And to everyone in Australia, happy January 1st. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Happy New Year, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around, and here's to an amazing 2020. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.